when Yekaterina decided to venture out into the vast expanse of the ocean to catch some fish. The temperature was a mild 16 degrees Celsius, making it a perfect day for fishing. She grabbed her fishing net, a tool passed down through generations, and headed towards the shore. The salt-laden breeze ruffled her hair as she approached the rocky coast, her heart filled with anticipation. She cast her net into the ocean with expert precision, allowing it to sink beneath the surface. The icy waters of the North Pacific were her playground, and she reveled in the moment's serenity. Stripping down to her swimsuit, she enjoyed a refreshing swim while waiting for her net to yield its bounty. The cold water enveloped her, and Yekaterina gracefully glided through the depths, her body perfectly attuned to the rhythm of the ocean. The tranquility of the underwater world was her sanctuary, and she marveled at the vibrant marine life surrounding her. Rays of sunlight pierced through the surface, casting an ethereal glow on the coral formations below. But in an instant, the peaceful serenity was shattered. A primal instinct honed over years of living in the wild sent chills down her spine. Yekaterina's heart raced as she turned to face the source of her dread. Emerging from the depths like an ancient leviathan, a massive great white shark materialized before her. The predator was awe-inspiring, its sleek, powerful body gliding effortlessly through the water. Rows of razor-sharp teeth glistened menacingly in the dappled sunlight. Panic threatened to consume Yekaterina, but her survival instincts kicked in with a force born of a lifetime of living on the edge. She knew that sudden movements would only provoke the shark, so she stayed as still as possible, her lungs screaming for air. The creature circled her, its cold, lifeless eyes fixated on her every move. Yekaterina's thoughts raced as she contemplated her options. She started swimming cautiously toward the surface while watching the shark's unwavering attention. The ocean seemed to be holding its breath due to the tension in the water. She struggled to keep her composure, and every second seemed to last forever. Just as Yekaterina neared the surface, disaster struck. Her foot brushed against a loose piece of kelp, and the slight disturbance in the water caught the shark's attention. It lunged toward her in a flash, its immense jaws agape, teeth gleaming with deadly intent. Time seemed to slow as Yekaterina's training and survival instincts took over. She twisted to the side with a burst of speed, narrowly avoiding the gaping maw that threatened to engulf her. She could feel the shark's hot breath and the brush of its rough skin against her leg as she narrowly escaped its deadly embrace. The battle for survival had begun in earnest. Yekaterina knew she couldn't outswim the shark in the open water, so she made a desperate dash for the nearest rocky outcrop, her heart pounding. The shark pursued relentlessly, its powerful tail propelling it through the water with terrifying speed. As Yekaterina reached the safety of the rocks, the shark lunged again, its jaws snapping shut just inches from her feet. She scrambled onto the rocks, her heart in her throat, and watched as the relentless predator circled below, waiting for its opportunity to strike. Yekaterina clung to the rocky refuge for hours, her body trembling with exhaustion and fear. The shark remained a constant, ominous presence in the water below, a relentless guardian of its territory. She knew she couldn't stay on the rocks forever, and her thoughts turned to her family in the nearby town. Yekaterina eventually decided to flee after summoning all of her bravery. She precisely re-entered the water, moving as silently as a shadow. The shark approached for the kill after detecting her exit. The shark closed the distance between them as Yekaterina swam with all her strength. Its powerful tail thrashed the water, closing in on its quarry. The tension in the water was unbearable, the predator and prey locked in a deadly dance. Yekaterina grabbed into her backpack and pulled out a piece of long, jagged driftwood, as an improvised weapon in her desperate attempt to survive. She wielded it with the tenacity of a survivor, prepared to defend her life. Unaffected, the shark proceeded in its when a group of daring kayakers reached out to her for an excursion in Abyss Bay. Abyss Bay, a lonely and breathtaking region of Alaska, was well known for its crystal-clear seas, massive glaciers, and abundant marine life. It was a distinctive and risky location due to the great white shark population frequenting the frigid waters, Alaskan morning. The gorgeous glaciers shone in the distance, and the frigid waters glistened with surreal blue color. Abyss Bay was harsh, but they had to get to civilization. The frigid seas might cause hypothermia in a matter of minutes, and the hazardous terrain along the shore made navigating challenging. They created a strategy. They connected their kayaks with a tow line to give them stability and a sense of unity. Kate took the initiative and used her understanding of the bay's currents to direct them towards an adjacent island. Time was of the essence as the injured kayakers' health deteriorated. As they paddled, the harsh reality of their situation sank in. The waters were numbingly cold and their soaked clothing offered little protection. The island became farther and farther away as the hours went by. Even though they were exhausted, the group persisted. Despite the great white shark's constant presence, they stayed on course because of Kate's leadership and perseverance. After a battle of half an hour, they succeeded in reaching the island. It was a tiny stone outcrop devoid of any indications of past settlement. Although they badly wanted to warm themselves and tend to their injured buddy, it protected them from the wind. They collected driftwood from the island, made a fire, and cuddled close to one another to stay warm. Although the injured kayakers' condition improved, they knew they couldn't remain on the island long. They needed help. Kate considered the possibilities. The great white shark continued to stalk the waters near the island even though music from a portable speaker set the tone for the festivities ahead. Hazel and her friends danced around the campfire, their laughter and joyful shouts blending with the crackling of the flames. It was a night of celebration, friendship, and youthful exuberance. As the hours went by and the moon rose higher in the sky, some of Hazel's pals started to talk about wanting to go swimming at night in the cool, enticing waters of the island. Hazel, who had always been a proficient and assured swimmer, consented to take the lead. She had won the title of American Swimming Competition champion only a year before, demonstrating her skill in the water. The friends donned their swimsuits and made their way to the shore, their voices hushed in reverence for the tranquil beauty of the night. The scene was enchanting, and Hazel felt a sense of contentment wash over her as she waded into the water, her friends following suit. However, the tranquility of the night was suddenly shattered by a disturbance in the water. A massive shadow moved beneath the surface, causing ripples to fan out in all directions. Hazel's instincts kicked in and she turned her attention to the source of the disturbance. Her heart sank as she realized the enormity of their danger. A great white shark, one of the ocean's most fearsome predators, had surfaced and circled them. Its dorsal fin was like a dagger cutting through the water, and its lifeless icy eyes were fixed on the group of swimmers. Hazel's pulse raced as she became aware of the danger they were facing, but she knew she needed to maintain her composure. The shark started to circle more intently, like it was assessing its potential victim. Hazel understood they had to act swiftly and decisively to survive this lethal encounter. As she carefully swam back to shore while keeping her eyes on the shark, she signaled her friends to stick together. While their hearts were thumping in their chests, the buddies followed Hazel's example. The ocean had changed from a place to frolic to a place where fear gripped people. The shark's movements became more ferocious as it quickly and terrifyingly drew closer to the swimmers. Hazel's mind raced as she calculated the risks and weighed their options. She knew outswimming the shark in open water was nearly impossible. Competitions in the world. The occasion occurred in Safor Bay, notorious for its long, beautiful waves, and in the middle of the shark region. As a professional surfer, Mia was well aware of the dangers associated with her sport, but she had never experienced anything comparable to what was about to happen. It was now time for the final round, and Mia was competing against some of the most well-known surfers in the world. The low-lying sun gave the vast azure ocean a golden color. Cameras were set to record the exciting action. Attendees lined the shore. The stress was evident because it was the peak of her professional life. As Mia paddled into position anticipating the ideal wave, her heart raced. The waves in Safor Bay are renowned for their clean, strong breaks, and today was no exception. Mia skillfully rode the strong swell with grace and accuracy as a set wave came in. Her movements through the waves were measured and graceful, and the cheers from the audience resounded in her ears. The untamed energy of the water unexpectedly manifested itself among the heat of the competition. A massive, great white shark sprang from the ocean with a thunderous boom, briefly taking everyone's breath away. Its enormous bulk rose majestically against the backdrop of the setting sun, a sight both awe-inspiring and scary. The audience watched in astonishment as the monster submerged into the depths with a loud splash. After the awe-inspiring encounter, a hushed silence settled over the competition. The great white shark's power and primal beauty momentarily eclipsed the rivalry. Adrenaline-pumped surfers and spectators alike couldn't help but marvel at the untamed majesty of the ocean, a reminder that nature's mysteries were boundless and humbling. The other surfers quickly paddled for land as panic rippled through the ocean. Even though Mia moved her board toward safety, it was too late. With its dark eyes fixed on her with a terrifying intensity, the great white had locked onto her. She was alone on her board with the dangerous creature circling her in a couple of seconds. Mia fell, but the shore was tantalizingly close. With every stroke, they drew nearer to safety, but the relentless predator was gaining ground. In a heart-stopping moment, the shark lunged forward, its massive jaws snapping shut just inches from the last swimmer in the group. Hazel watched in horror as the water churned with the force of the attack. But miraculously, her friend had managed to evade the deadly bite. With renewed determination, the group redoubled their efforts, their arms and legs propelling them through the water with all the strength they could muster. The shark continued to pursue, its powerful tail thrashing the water in a relentless pursuit of its prey. The shore was agonizingly close now, a sanctuary from the relentless predator that pursued them. Hazel and her friends could almost taste the safety awaiting them on the rocky beach. The waves seemed to swell and surge as if nature conspired to keep the shark at bay. But as they approached the shallows and success appeared within reach, the shark launched a frantic last lunge. One of Hazel's friends yelled out in agony and terror as its enormous teeth wrapped around his ankle. The water turned blood red as the shark thrashed and clung on tight. Hazel's heartache was palpable as she watched her friend struggle. At that moment, she made a split-second decision that would forever haunt her. She delivered a powerful blow to the shark's snout with all the strength she could muster, stunning it momentarily. It was enough to free her friend, who scrambled to the safety of the shore, bloodied but alive. Hazel barely escaped the predator's grasp, her body shattered by the encounter. As she reached the shore, she collapsed onto the rocky beach, gasping for breath. Her friends rushed to her side, their faces etched with relief and gratitude. The great white shark, defeated and wounded, retreated into the ocean's depths, disappearing into the darkness from where it came. The night was once again calm and serene, as if the harrowing encounter had been nothing more than a nightmare. Hazel's friend, though injured, would recover, and the group clung to each other in the aftermath of their ordeal. Their youthful adventure had turned into a life-altering experience, a reminder of the fragility of life and the primal forces of relentless chase. With a burst of adrenaline-fueled strength, Yekaterina turned and faced the oncoming predator. The shark lunged, its massive jaws aimed at her once again. She thrust the makeshift weapon with all her might in that split second. The driftwood pierced the shark's eye. Blood clouded the water as the wounded beast thrashed in agony. Yekaterina seized the opportunity and swam with every ounce of strength she had left, putting as much distance as possible between her and the wounded shark. Miraculously, she returned to the shore, her body tired and battered, but her spirit unbroken. Gasping for breath, she stumbled onto the rocky beach, leaving a trail of bloody footprints in her wake. She finally reached home. Yekaterina's family rushed to her side, their faces a mixture of relief and horror as they saw the extent of her injuries. They quickly tended to her wounds and listened in awe as she recounted her harrowing encounter with the great white shark. Word of Yekaterina's bravery spread throughout the coastal town, and the authorities were alerted to the shark's presence in their waters. They took immediate action to ensure the safety of the townspeople, implementing measures to monitor and protect against further shark attacks. Yekaterina's incredible tale of survival became a legend in the town, a testament to the indomitable human spirit and the power of courage in the face of impossible odds. She had faced one of the ocean's most fearsome predators and lived to tell the tale, a testament to her unwavering determination and the strength forged through a lifetime. Dorsal fin slashed through the water. It was an incredible beast, intrigued by the people who had entered its habitat. Kate calmly instructed the group to stay still and avoid sudden movements. She knew that panicking or provoking the shark could be disastrous. The massive predator circled their kayaks, its dark eyes fixated on them. The kayakers held their breath, their hearts pounding as they watched the graceful but deadly predator. The shark suddenly pushed forward and brushed into one of the kayaks. It was sufficiently knocked over for its occupant to fall into the chilly water when the group noticed their colleague battling to stay afloat while in the water. Panic broke out among them. Kate took command right away, yelling directives to the group. They pulled them aboard a secure kayak as they approached their lost companion. However, their joy was fleeting as the great white circled, becoming bolder with each pass. The gang had a difficult task ahead of them because one of their kayaks had capsized, and one was hurt. But on the Owaiki beach in Hawaii, Margaret felt transported to paradise. Calm, crystal-clear seas lapped long stretches of smooth golden sands. The leaves of the palm trees made complex patterns against the turquoise sky as they waved lazily. The pleasant aroma of tropical flowers permeated the air, while ukuleles playing in the distance contributed to the beautiful ambiance. This little piece of heaven was bathed in a magnificent glow, as the sun painted the horizon in shades of orange and pink. This was the evergreen beauty of Owaiki Beach. Margaret Brown was a spirited 21-year-old surfer who had always been drawn to the thrill of riding the waves. Surfing was more than just a pastime to her growing up on Hawaii's scenic coastline. It was a way of life. At Owaiki Beach, a destination renowned for its beautiful sea and famous waves, Margaret had spent endless hours perfecting her surfing skills. But she had no idea that a fatal encounter with a predator would put her bravery and tenacity to the ultimate test. As the saline breeze fluffed her blonde hair, Margaret surveyed the horizon for the ideal wave. She had no idea her carefree day in the sun would soon take it. A sudden, unanticipated force disrupted Margaret's happy moment while riding a particularly alluring wave. A black-tip reef shark rushed out of the water with lightning speed, its razor-sharp jaws choking on her arm. Her body screamed in pain and she felt terror rise. Jake, who was nearby, watched in horror as his sister was dragged under the water. He strutting through the surf as they arrived. They created a safety bubble around Jake and Margaret, defending them from the shark's circling motion. They lifted Margaret onto a jet ski with delicacy and precision, her hurt arm aching with pain. With a worried and relieved expression on his face, Jake gripped her closely. As Margaret was injured, a group of the waves greeted her like they always had, and she was incredibly grateful to have the chance to surf them once more. She was reminded of why she first fell in love with surfing by the salty breeze, the pulsing waves, and the vast horizon. Margaret took strength and tenacity to return to the waves, but succeeded. She understood that difficulties would always be part of life, but the ocean had shown her that she could face any difficulty head-on if she had grit and steadfast spirit. As she paddled the waves that had previously been the scene of her terrifying ordeal, she felt a tremendous sense of liberty and a newfound connection to the ocean that had always been her true home. Margaret's strength and self-assurance increased as the months went by. Her tenacity served as an example for others, a reminder of the human spirit's indomitable nature. She developed into a champion for shark conservation, utilizing her knowledge to spread. Her heart tightened with fear, but knew that rash action would only worsen things. Her thoughts racing, she attempted to remember all she had ever learned about encounters with sharks. She had heard that keeping your cool under pressure was essential, and that jerky movements could set off an attack. She was unable to succumb to her terror. The great white shark kept making slow, methodical circles around her, as its dorsal fin sliced through the water's surface like a dagger. The world watched and waited to see how this dreadful encounter would unfold. On the shore, a frantic scramble was in progress. Event planners issued a warning advising attendees to leave the area and seek safety. A media frenzy was developing due to the breaking news, which had already spread like wildfire. Helicopters were buzzing overhead to record the action as it developed. As their boats raced through the water, experts and shark trackers sped to the site. They had one objective: protecting Mia and guarding the great white from damage. They were aware that it was a very crucial moment. They showed dedication to the surfer and the shark by maintaining a precarious balance. Mia returned to the water and tried to keep as motionless as she could, her heart racing. A little tug on her leg reminded her she was not alone in this aquatic environment. The initial confusion caused a slight injury dripping with blood, drawing the shark's attention. Mia's senses sharpened, and her attention sharpened. She was instructed on making her motions as unthreatening as possible by the specialists and trackers, whose voices were soothing and comforting. Even though the situation was uncomfortable, Mia had some hope thanks to everyone's combined experience. Mia's muscles ached, and her mind raced with fear and tenacity as each minute passed. Despite its intimidating presence, the great white shark appeared to lose interest as its circles grew broader and disappeared beneath the water. The tension in the water started to loosen, and a sigh of relief could be heard from everyone. Mia's shaky legs gave way as she walked onto firm ground and was securely led to shore. A rush of medical personnel and reporters greeted her, anxious to hear her terrifying story. She had some minor wounds, but they were a little price to pay for her life. Mia's tale captured the world's attention after that. It was evidence of the ocean's irrationality and the human spirit's tenacity. The majestic and terrifying great white shark had returned to its domain, reminding us that predators and prey must cohabit in the aquatic environment. Mia couldn't help but think back on the incredible events that had taken place as she was treated for her injuries and got medical attention. She had overcome her worst anxieties and come out the other side with a fresh understanding of how delicately the relationship between people and the untamed elements of the ocean. It is a narrative of survival, bravery, and the unbreakable relationship between humans and the age. As the group waited in the cage, searching the depths for any indication of the elusive great white, time seemed to drag on. Sarah's breath grew faster with each passing second as she experienced awe and dread. Everyone in the cage had a tangible sense of wonder and fear. Then, suddenly, it took place. In the distance, a large shadow traveling quickly through the water appeared large. Dr. Turner's voice informed the crew of the oncoming shark as it crackled through the communication system. The onlookers in the cage were visibly excited, their cameras ready to record the magnificent animal. Everyone was in awe when the great white shark surfaced from the depths due to its immense size and strength. It was a wonderful specimen, its muscular, slender body sliding through the water easily. It circled the cage, its icy black eyes fixed on the curious outsiders invading its territory. Rows of serrated fangs glistened menacingly as it did so. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as the shark drew nearer, its movements fluid and deliberate. She had read about these apex predators, watched documentaries, and seen countless images, but nothing could have prepared her for the sheer presence of a great white in the wild. As the shark circled closer, fear and fascination gripped the cage viewers. Dr. Turner's voice remained calm and reassuring, providing valuable insights into the shark's behavior and the precautions taken to ensure their safety. The cage itself was constructed with sturdy bars and reinforced steel, designed to withstand the immense power of a great white bite. But just as the group relaxed into the mesmerizing spectacle before them, a sudden change in the shark's demeanor sent panic through the cage. The great white's graceful circle turned into a rapid charge, and before anyone could react, it collided with the cage with explosive force. The impact reverberated through the cage, jolting the occupants within. Sarah felt the cage shudder as the massive shark thrashed against the bars, its mighty jaws snapping menacingly. Panic coursed through her veins as she watched the creature's predatory instincts take over. With years of experience serving him well, Dr. Turner immediately initiated emergency procedures. He activated the winch, causing the cage to be pulled swiftly above the water's surface. The cage viewers, terror etched on their faces, clung to the sides of the cage as it ascended. leaving the enraged shark behind in the depths. The cage was hoisted onto the boat, and the passengers clambered out, their legs shaking from the encounter. Dr. Turner immediately began to assess the situation, checking for any injuries or signs of trauma among the group. Fortunately, everyone appeared to be physically unharmed, but the emotional scars of the encounter would linger. As the adrenaline subsided, a sense of awe and gratitude washed over the cage viewers. They had met with sparkled in a golden glow as the sun dipped low over the ocean's surface. A brave American surfer, Alex Brad, had traveled to Australia for the ideal wave. He had traveled to this far-flung planet region, where the waves were famed for their beauty and strength and the sporadic appearance of sharks. The waves were spectacular on this day, and Alex seemed at ease. He could feel the exhilaration of the ocean pulsing through him with each stroke. Under him, the transparent water revealed a fascinating world of alive coral and aquatic life. Although he knew the dangers of surfing in these shark-infested seas, the barrier reef's attraction was too much to ignore. That swallowed the dazzling sunshine appeared beneath him in a split second. Before his frantic mind could respond, a giant white shark of enormous shape burst from the water, its opening mouth inches from his dangling legs. In that breathtaking instant, time seemed to go on forever. As the surfer met the elemental power of nature, his adrenaline-fueled elation turned to utter horror. His heart beat like a drum of survival in his chest. It was a profound meeting with the apex predator that served as a reminder that anything may happen in the great ocean, even the most exhilarating adventures. Alex kicked his board towards the beast out of instinct rather than thinking, narrowly avoiding its deadly fangs. The impact knocked him into the water, but he quickly climbed back onto his board. Although the predator had given him a tenuous reprieve, it continued to circle him, its icy black eyes fixed on him as possible food. Alex realized he had to move quickly. He looked around him with shaking hands. Long shadows were cast over the ocean as the sun crept closer to the horizon. He needed to take charge of his survival because he couldn't rely solely on rescue. His sole tool and lifeline, he realized as he turned to look at his surfboard. Gnashing his teeth, Alex took the leash off the surfboard and started paddling hard in the opposite direction of the ominous shark. Each stroke caused his heart to accelerate and his muscles to burn from the effort. The seconds turned into minutes, but the shark kept following him, never veering off. Exhaustion began to chop at Alex's determination as the afternoon sun turned into a moonlit sky. He realized that he couldn't keep paddling continuously. His resolve was strengthened by desperation, and he came up with a strategy. He made a temporary shelter as a barrier between himself and the approaching predator by fastening a leash cord to the board's nose. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a tiny waterproof flashlight with a shaking hand. Once he turned it on, a weak beam was cast into the deep ocean. The shark's silhouette was still oddly close, a terrifying reminder of the danger lurking below. Hour after hour went by during this tense standoff. The pain in Alex's body and his state of fatigue in his thoughts were both palpable. He had to use all his effort to maintain his composure as he battled terror and panic. He muttered encouraging words to himself, vowing not to become another victim of the ocean's relentless hold. Someone captured his signal of the beam light from the shore. The coastal rescuers rushed to his location as soon as they realized his dreadful situation. A group of skilled maritime professionals was rescuing him. They raced against the clock and the persistent predator because they knew they were running out of time. Back on the water, Alex could see that his flashlight's batteries were running low. As night fell, panic threatened to engulf him. He strained his ears to hear any sounds of the coming rescue squad as he listened closely. Just when hope seemed lost, he heard the distant hum of an engine. As the rescue boat came into view, its strong searchlights piercing through the night, a wave of relief washed over him. Alex's weak glow was visible in the distance, and the rescue team hurried toward it. The shark made one more frightening pass before slipping into the depths as it sensed impending danger. Alex was dragged aboard by the crew, his body quivering from tiredness and his face turning pale. He had made it through the horrific experience, and the hours-long pressure of fear gradually dissipated. He knew he owed his life to their prompt arrival, the comfort of the boat's cabin, and their soothing remarks. Alex found himself thinking about the terrifying ordeal as they returned to land. He witnessed the vast coral reef's unyielding violence and fantastic beauty. He had gazed into the abyss, confronted his worst fears, and come out on top. But the experience with the unrelenting great white shark had changed him irrevocably. In the end, Alex's trip to the vast coral reef taught him about the strength of the human spirit and the power of nature. The experience left him with a newfound respect for the ocean's mysteries and a deeper understanding of the delicate balance between man and nature in the vast, amazing world under the waves. He had surfed the most dangerous waters, survived the most terrifying encounter, today at Hamilton Beach in South Carolina, where the white sands extended as far as the eye could see and were gently caressed by the Atlantic surf. The sky was a dazzling blue without a cloud in sight, and the sun cast a warm, inviting glow along the shoreline. Hamilton Beach was humming with the chatter and laughter of beachgoers on this idyllic day. Families had set up bright beach umbrellas and towels, and their kids played and made sandcastles close to the water. Along the water's edge, couples strolled hand in hand, their footprints leaving brief traces in the sand. The lingering aroma of sunscreen served as a reminder of the sun's inviting warmth. A 30-year-old surfer with sun-kissed hair and a year-round tan named Jacob Moore stood out in this gorgeous scenario. The beach was more than simply a place to go for Jacob. It was his calling. He believed that his life's work was to ride the waves, synchronize with the rhythm of the ocean, and find peace in the rising and falling of the tides. Like so many previous days, Jacob went to the beach today with only one intention: to surf the day away. He had honed his abilities for countless hours, becoming sensitive to the subtleties of the ocean. He saw every wave as a chance to connect with the vast blue expanse, and every ride as an opportunity. A feeling of excitement overcame him as he dived into the missing wave and started to ride it gracefully and expertly. He was in excruciating pain when he peered down and saw a black-nosed shark holding onto his limb. Jacob felt fearful but understood that the key was to remain composed. With a sudden outpouring of strength, he could wrench his leg out of the shark's hold, his blood mixing with the water. He experienced shock and fear, but his instincts as a surfer took over. He was aware that he needed to reach land as soon as possible. In the middle of this nightmare, all the beachgoers who had been having a good time suddenly started screaming and yelling for help as they ran to the water's edge. It was like a wave of panic muscles. He was even more fierce in the struggle against the icy, unrelenting waters. He overcame nature's obstacles with each stroke, demonstrating that the human spirit could overcome difficulty one resolute stroke at a time. When Jacob finally managed to drag himself onto the sand, his bruised leg was bloody and torn. He was immediately assisted by a nearby paramedic who had been having a great time at the beach. The paramedic's skillful hands put a tourniquet on Jacob's leg to stop the bleeding public and the strict monitoring of the waters by coastal officials. Before reopening Hemington Beach to tourists, they ensured the area was secure. Jacob started his long and grueling road to recovery after being placed under the hospital's care. He had sustained severe wounds from the shark bite that required extended medical care and therapy. As he faced the challenges ahead, his friends and family came together to surround him and provide unshakable support. In due course, Hemington Beach once more welcomed surfers and beachgoers, but with a greater feeling of prudence and awe for the force of the ocean. Jacob's tale always served as a sobering reminder of the human spirit's perseverance and the sea's unpredictability. Jacob's courage and perseverance emerged through months of physical therapy and rehabilitation. Despite his terrifying experience with the black-nosed shark, he remained unafraid and refused to let it define him. His return to surfing was an act of bravery and proof of the unbreakable connection between a surfer and the vast, unpredictably undersea world under the ocean. His narrative would live on and serve as a reminder that despite hardship, the human spirit can triumph, and that the ocean can heal even the deepest wounds. They were excited to record their adventures and capture the splendor of the water, so they brought their cameras. Maria, in particular, was passionate about making movies and sharing them with her friends and fans, but they were unprepared for a tiger shark's sudden and unwanted arrival. Regarded as one of the ocean's most dangerous predators, the worst-case scenario occurred while they enjoyed the calm surroundings and paddled deeper into the sea. When the tiger shark finally surfaced, Linda and Maria felt a surge of terror accompany them. Fearing for their lives, they attempted valiantly to restore their equilibrium on the board, but panic struck. The tiger shark attacked during the ensuing turmoil, snaking Linda's arms with strong teeth. While her friend Maria heroically attempted to help her, she let out an agonized scream. Maria was, however, also caught in the board during the frantic struggle, making it nearly impossible for her to escape the predator's hold. The savage shark tore at Linda's arms, causing blood to fill the water. As they struggled to deal with the catastrophic situation, time appeared to slow down, and the anguish became unbearable. Maria was stuck and could not help, so the odds seemed overwhelming. The tiger shark plunged deeply into the water, losing sight of itself in a desperate attempt to survive. This provided a little relief for Linda and Maria. Linda felt her power ebbing as she started to lose consciousness while she held her wounded arms. Realizing the situation's urgency, Maria mustered her last strength and broke free from the board. She swam rapidly back to Linda, who was now teetering on unconsciousness. Maria struggled to lift Linda onto the board and paddled back to the shore as quickly as possible. Panic and anxiety drove her determination because she knew every second counted. When they got to the coast, Maria hurried Linda to the closest parking area. Formerly stood for beauty and adventure, is now associated with trauma and danger. She was aware that the wounds from that day would follow her for the rest of her life, both emotionally and physically. The event also acted as a sharp reminder of how unpredictable life can be, and how crucial it is to cherish each eager to explore the coastline. Their youthful enthusiasm led them to walk along the beach without seeking permission or guidance from the university staff. Jaden had always possessed an insatiable wanderlust, and he couldn't resist the allure of the sea. As Jaden strolled along the shoreline, he couldn't help but marvel at the beauty surrounding him. The turquoise waves lapped gently at the shore, and the sun bathed everything in a warm golden glow. He found a spot on the beach and settled down, content to soak in the moment's serenity. Unbeknownst to Jaden,